All right, in this video, I'm going to show everybody how we do lighting layouts here at West Durable Lighting. Show you a little bit of the ins and outs, go through the reporting, what to look at, what's important, and what we would need from you to get a lighting layout done and hopefully sell some projects. This program is called AGI 32, uses IES files, which we have for all of our fixtures, and I use it to examine and lay out jobs and give customers an idea of what they're in store for to light up a particular project. I am self-taught in this program. I know how to use this program about 10% of its capability, but it is enough to get the point across and get people pointed in the right direction on a particular project. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to do an indoor shop. Let's make it 20-foot high ceilings. We're going to make it 100 by 60, so 6,000 square foot industrial shop, warehouse, something like that. It's going to be perfect for our Durabay linear spec fixtures or our Durabay F UFO high bays. So here's our 100 by 60 structure. First going to lay it out with DBLS 155s, which should be pretty good. And in general, when I do these layouts, I just guess and check. I've been doing these a while. I kind of know where to be on everything. And so we're going to go ahead and lay out this project as a 4 by 3, equally space everything, 12 feet from each walls. I'm going to hit calculate here and see where we're at. And each of those question marks will turn into a foot candle reading, at the floor, or typically like 2.5 feet off the floor is kind of industry standard. So when you're looking at these, I'll take a screenshot of this and I'll put it in a PDF report. These are all foot candle readings. These are spaced 10 feet apart. I usually just try to make something that reads well. Each of these fixtures is mounted at 20 feet. And we're looking over here at the data. Your average foot candle here, 48.2. That's pretty good for any sort of mechanic shop, workshop, warehouse, anything like that. We're in good shape. I do not love these two numbers, the average min ratio and the max min ratio. Those tell me the consistency of the light. I like average mins to be in the low ones, 1.2, 1.3. Max mins I try to get under 2, and that basically just shows how consistent the highs are from the lows and the averages from the lows. And I can look at this other mode and I can run this pseudo color, and what that essentially does is it references each area of the floor on this chart, and we can see a little bit more dynamically. Instead of trying to compare numbers, we're able to compare it as kind of compared to this rainbow over here. So the reds are brighter than the greens, and as you can see, it's kind of light blue up here where it's pretty dim. The orange and red is kind of concentrated in the middle, so it's really bright in the middle. It's a little dim on the outside, so I'm going to go to work on this thing for just a little bit. So we started here at 1212. I'm going to start over and move the fixtures closer to each wall by 2 feet. So we're going to go to 1010, and we'll still use 12 fixtures, equally spaced. And I'm going to recalculate. And if you remember, our average was 48.6. Our average min was like 1.6, and our max min was over 2. And now if you'll look, our average dropped just a little bit, but it's still in the same range, 46.5. It was 48. But the average min and the max mins have each plummeted and gotten closer and closer to 1. Again, the first layout, this was like 1.7, and this was over 2. And what those numbers are our reading is just the light consistency. So again, go back over here to the render page so we can look at it on the color. And this is the exact same scale, but there's no red anymore. Now it's just yellow. And then the entire area, including the corners, are a brighter green. It means the lows are now higher and the highs are now lower. So it's more consistent. It's a better finished product. So I'm pretty happy with that. What I would do is I would take two screenshots, a screenshot that shows the numbers and a screenshot that shows that color mode, put them on the same sheet of paper, and I'll explicitly write out the average, the max, the min, and then the two ratios that we're looking at, and I'll send it in a PDF and say, I'd go with this. I can also take a look at some other fixtures, like let's say 46-foot candles isn't enough and the customer wants to brighten it up. Well, we can apply all and make all these fixtures DBLS 310s instead of 155s. Now this is way overkill for this application. 110-foot candles is way too bright. It's like a tanning salon in there. But again, it gives the same kind of ratios. The max mins and the average mins are still really, really good. So this light is ultra consistent. It's just way too bright for the application, right? Everything is dark red on the 70-foot candle scale. So we could look here, reset that chart, and you can see the spread of this actual project is really, really good. It's just way too bright for the application. So, you know, if I wanted to, you know, we could switch from the linear fixtures, and let's take a third look and use the round 240-watt high bays. And we should get a pretty good result with these as well. Okay, so we're at 65 average foot candles, great average min and max min ratios. I'd be really happy with this project too. If the customer's looking for it to be really bright, let me reset this. This is this. I'm going to reset it to 70 so you can compare it. The DBLS 155s, it was mostly yellow and orange. Well, this is mostly red. This is a little brighter, but we're using a more powerful fixture, so that's to be expected. But if I pumped it up, you can see a great spread, really consistent. Customer would be really pleased with that, and that's super bright in there. So, again, I am not classically trained in AGI 32, but I know enough to make me dangerous. And essentially what I would do is take screenshots of all those, record all those numbers, and then put it together in a multi-page PDF, just like so. This is a project I did a couple months ago for a customer, kind of a similar area. It's, what is this, 120 by 50 at 15 feet. As you can see, they wanted to use 310s. 310s were way too powerful for a 15-foot mounting height. So I did what they asked me to do, so I could show them that that was not the right fixture for the application, and then dialed it down to 155s. You can see better consistency here. Here's a couple more 155s, a little brighter. Then looks like we did 3 rows of fixtures here, and that made it really, really bright, just to show some options. I will definitely call and follow up with the salesperson or whoever's requesting for the layout so we can talk about these, because there's a lot of context that goes involved with all these layouts, not just numbers, to make sure you know what you're looking for. So as you can see, to do an indoor facility with high bays, pretty easy. Took about 10 minutes. We did 3 different options of fixtures, and you know, we're able to dial down to the best one and get you right in the ballpark. So basically for any indoor facility, I just need dimensions and a mounting height and kind of what you're looking for, and we'll be able to knock it out and get it back to you pretty quick. Some other projects we've done. Get this pulled up. So we can do layouts for outdoor lighting as well. They're much more involved. This is a new construction of a business park or something like that, and they gave me some schematics, you know, something to go off of, and they said, you know, here's 4 lights. We need to know how bright it's going to be in this facility. So being able to send me that PDF of those drawings and those plans, I was able to pull dimensions, which is a little painstaking, but it's pretty easy to do. Basically, we just have to establish an origin, make all of our references and our distances for the buildings and the locations of the fixtures relative to one point. So that's what I'm doing here. And then in AGI 32, I made, made a drawing of referencing all those numbers, hung some fixtures. I think these are 310 watt shoe boxes at 25 feet. And you can kind of see the foot candles there. And then what I will do is put them in Photoshop and overlay them. And again, you get the kind of the same report. Max and min averages I don't really do. It's a little bit dependent on the application, but there's so many zeros here, it's going to mess with all the mathematical calculations of this particular application. As you can see, my measurements and my drawing was pretty good. It's not perfect. Like, here's where the actual plan said to put the light, and I put it here. So it's not perfect, but it gets the point across as to what the customer can expect in this job. So we can do that. Here's another project we did. This is a pickleball facility for a senior center. And the nice part about it is this is an established location. So the customer just sent me the address. I looked it up on Google Maps. I was able to pull dimensions. In this project, they were really concerned about light spillage and light pollution for their project. So they were interested in only putting up 2 light poles on this side of the facility so they wouldn't spray into this house. But when you look at the actual tennis court, you're only lighting up half of it. So that was no good. So then we went and we used some shoe boxes. Maybe the shoe boxes would disperse the light a little bit better, but that didn't work. And so basically we had to resort to saying, look, there's no use of doing this unless you're going to use 4 poles, mount them here, and show what the kind of light spillage was. And as you can see, it's a much better light application, something that everybody will be proud of. So, gave them a couple options, floodlights, shoe boxes, and let the customer make the best decision, the best pitch to try to sell this job. And it's a kind of a large undertaking. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time to be able to go through and get all this for the potential of maybe selling 8 lights and 4 poles. But it's all about the relationship and establishing, good connection with our customers and trying to help everybody sell jobs. That's the point of this. So that's kind of how outdoor stuff looks. We've done a lot of ball fields, football fields, softball fields. We can do some complex things here. Again, I'm not classically trained or educated in this program, but I can get the point across of what's going on. This was an application in Tennessee for a softball field. They had some pretty tough limitations, like 30 foot is not high enough to really light a softball field or a baseball field higher. You need to be up in 40 or 50 foot. But, we got pretty good numbers at it. But they were very concerned about the light pollution in this particular application. You can't see it because I cut it off, but right behind all these tree lines are rows of houses that they were very concerned about. So we were able to show them what to expect before they spent $50,000 putting this project up and having a whole bunch of problems. So, obviously these types of applications, these types of projects take more time. They take more energy. We need more information up front. But we can certainly do this and help put put everybody in the right direction as where they need to go. So we're happy to do these. These are free. These are a service we provide, trying to sell our light fixtures and poles and accessories and things like that. If you need a lighting layout, whether it's big or small, just reach out to me, wdlsales@westdurableighting.com. You can call me, 888-998-0864, and we could talk about it. The indoor projects are pretty easy and straightforward. I might be able to get back to you that day. If it's a football field, it's going to be a bit to find the time to do it right. But in general, what we need to know are dimensions, mounting height, if it's an established outdoor area, if it's a car lot with poles, if you have the address and I can look it up on Google Maps and pull some dimensions and see where those poles are, that really is helpful. The one thing I can't pull off Google Maps is the mounting height of existing poles, so we'll need to know that. And kind of what the customer's looking for, what the expectations are. Does it need to be really bright for competitive play, or does it need to just be kind of lit so kids can run around and play? So there's a little context to be involved. But we're happy to do all these. We have the IES files for all of our fixtures, and can give you a pretty good idea of what's going on in any application. So again, best way to get in touch with me is WDLsales@westdurableighting.com. Ask for Jim, or you can dial us 888-998-0864. And again, ask for Jim, and we'll get you squared away.